We'll begin tonight with a half-hour meditation, and then we'll transition into a Dhamma talk. If that feels good to you. So I want to take a moment to settle into a comfortable posture. Just a way to sit where you can be without really needing to move much for the next 30 minutes. And that might be straightening the spine, lifting up a bit through the crown of the head, the shoulders back, perhaps tucking the chin just a little bit. You might need to wiggle around a bit to find a stable posture. When that feels good to you, you might take a few deep breaths, really lengthening the exhale and relaxing. These long exhales signal the mind and the body that it's okay to relax. You may keep doing that or let that go. This feels good to you. It's often a good thing to take note of what's occurring in the body, checking out where there's any tension or restlessness, any pain or pleasant sensations. Just kind of knowing, just being fully present with what's there. And we can check in with the mind too, noticing what's going on, the currents of movement, any thought patterns that are strong now. Again, just noticing, not feeling the need to change anything or fix anything, just welcoming the mind as it is. There's nothing that needs to be pushed away. It's only ever phenomena arising and passing away. Now that we've settled in a bit and taken the lay of the land, you might let attention rest on the breath, wherever it seems most prominent. For some folks, that might be at the tip of the nostrils, maybe at the back of the throat, down in the belly, and just wherever it's easiest to feel the breath, let attention rest there. And the action that occurs is just a simple receiving, just a receiving of those sensations, just knowing. It's not really any kind of doing at all. Sensations arise and pass away without your intervention. Just be present. Sensations of the breath can be an anchor. Whenever the mind wanders away, gets lost in thought, which it inevitably will, simply return attention to the breath. And that's it. That's all that needs to be done. It doesn't matter if that happens one time in the next half hour or 1,000 times. Just return. Everything else can be let go of. Whatever thoughts and plans and worries are in the mind, they're of no importance right now. Just the breath. You might take a moment to check and see if any tension has crept into your meditation. Sometimes that's held in the face or in the shoulders. If you notice any of that, you might simply see if it can relax. It's easy to over effort in meditation, but meditation is a very relaxed activity. You might see if attention can have a welcoming quality to it, letting all the sensations be fully known, fully welcomed, every little detail known. Just letting attention rest on the breath, letting anything else in awareness, any thoughts, any agitation, sounds, just letting that pass in and out of existence unhindered. You don't need to push them away. No reaction needs to be made. Just continue to focus on the breath and let everything else come and go. Just returning to the breath. Whatever takes attention, you let go of. The mind can return to the breath. If it feels good to you, you can continue on, or you can simply let go of all effort and just be present. In this final minute or so, let's take some time to appreciate the benefits of our practice here today. Practice has any number of benefits, one of which is that when we meditate, we cultivate a mind that is more likely to be calm and still and kind. And so when we get off the cushion, our life is more likely to have these qualities in it. The more our life has the qualities of kindness and stillness, the more these spread to people around us. So our practice here is a benefit to us. It's also a benefit to those we care about. So thank you all for sitting with me. I need to take a moment to adjust. That's okay. I do. We have a couple of announcements today. Number one, there's a retreat starting very soon on July 12th. Dhamma Depot will be exploring Buddhist frameworks for practicing with the body and the breath. On July 19th, Dhammadippa is also going to start offering a sutta study class. This will be on Fridays at, I believe, 7:30. And on July 20th, there will be a get-together for the Sangha. Everyone is welcome. It's a combination Asala Puja celebration, Buddhist holiday, and a welcome back for Dhammadippa. And finally, on August 16th, there's another retreat with the Red Clay Sangha. And all this information can be found on the website. So last week I ended with the poem, Peace is Every Step. I'll start with that poem again. Peace is every step, a shining red sun in my heart. Each flower smiles with me. How green, how fresh, all that grows. How cool the wind blows. Peace is every step. It turns the endless path to joy. Really been enjoying that poem lately. And I really like it so much because it captures the viewpoint so well of someone who sees beauty in the world. And this viewpoint is very enticing, but it's not one that we, most of us, most of the time, don't inhabit that. So I thought it might be interesting to see the difference between viewpoints, taking the same scene, so the same elements, the heart, the flowers, the sun, the green growing things, the wind, the path, and examine it from a different viewpoint. So I had quite a bit of fun with this. What I did was I generated several variants of this poem using some AI friends, but from different viewpoints. So I have a different viewpoint of this same scene of Thich Nhat Hanh's poem, but from a grumpy viewpoint. So this is what I have. Annoyance plagues my every move. The glaring sun assaults my eyes. Each flower, a garish sight. How mundane, how dreary all that sprouts. How bothersome the breeze. Irritation marks each stride. It makes this pointless journey worse. And so this is the same scene, right? If you notice, it had the same elements. It had the sun, the flowers, the breeze, the path, but it's quite different. Same scene, two viewpoints, two very different experiences. We've all lived that second life. But this first viewpoint, the one in Thich Nhat Hanh's poem, this is what we want. We want to live life in that way, seeing things as beautiful. Life has just this lovely, lovely flavor to it when we see the world that way. And what we tend to do, because we try and do this, what we tend to do is we tend to try and make this happen by accumulating beautiful things into our viewpoint. We can talk about external things. We can talk about beautiful pieces of art or music, fancy, lovely things that you can have around your house. You can talk about having beautiful people in your life, or beautiful scenes in nature, climbing the mountain and seeing the viewpoint, or seeing the view spread out below you. You can talk about beautiful experiences. Many of us who come to the spiritual path also look for beauty internally. There's states of meditation that are just, they can just be sublimely beautiful. So we often try and cultivate those. We often make the mistake that that kind of beauty is the end of the path. What we're looking for with all these experiences of beauty is a particular state of mind. In this lovely conversation this weekend with, I met someone new. She's a photographer, and we had a lovely conversation about this subject, about beauty. And she was describing her experience of what it's like when she's doing a photo shoot. And the way she described it was that she's when she's doing a photo shoot, she's present with the object. She's just fully there. She's not lost in thought. She's not like the mind is not whirling around. She's just fully present. And this is what we're looking for in these moments of beauty. We're looking for the subsidence of the sense of self. In fact, you can think of beauty as the inverse of the sense of self. When the self is strongly present, there's very little beauty. And when the self is weaker or gone away, there's much more beauty. For example, when we go climb that mountain and we see the vista spread out below us, and the mind just stops. That's what we're looking for. And this can happen with any of the other things that I mentioned too. We have lovely words around this feeling. We have things like speechless, or at a loss for words, or struck dumb, or stop dead in my tracks. All of these are referring to that same state where the kind of whirling of the mind, the thoughts, and even below the thoughts, the movement and the reaction of the mind to the world, when that just stops. That's what we're looking for. There's a misunderstanding here around beauty. We think beauty is something that's rare. We think it's some like very specific arrangement of the world, right? Like the beauty is the Mona Lisa hanging in the museum. If you gave me that same canvas and that same paint, and I painted a picture of a woman, that would not be a beautiful thing, right? You go up the mountain, you see this pristine landscape with these lovely trees and their fall foliage. That's a beautiful thing. But you add a factory with some smokestacks and a loud motorcycle, it's not beautiful anymore. We think beauty is something specific, something rare. This is wrong. Beauty is something different. We have the directionality confused. What happens is when the sense of self subsides, what's revealed is the beauty that's inherent in the world, right? Beauty is not this rare thing you have to go out and find. Beauty is just what's there when the sense of self subsides. So beauty is not found by making it happen. Beauty is found by letting go. It's found by a change of perspective. So in one perspective, this is glass. It is completely ordinary and nothing special about it. From another perspective, this is something very different. This is the culmination of everything else that has come before this. This is a function of the person who designed this glass. This is a function of the sand that went into making it, or the furnace, and the dead dinosaurs that powered the furnace, and the company behind the furnace, and the whole human civilization, and everything on this planet, this whirling of stars and planets and galaxies. Everything feeds into this. This glass is the product of this vast and incomprehensible machinery of the universe. And it's hard to talk about beauty in this way, but when this is seen in that way, there is wonder and awe and beauty in this what from another perspective is this very ordinary glass. Same glass, two perspectives, two very different experiences. So in this understanding, beauty can be found in everything, even the mundane. Everything is an expression of the whole. When we see the world as something to be resisted, when we see things arising and we don't want them, we push them away. We see other things arising and we want them, we try and hold on to them. When we see the world this way, experience can sometimes be this cacophony of unwanted sensations. But there's the world, and there's the layer of our reactions over it. If that layer of reactions, that sense of self is removed, there's just the world. And without that wanting anything to be different, it's just okay as it is. And it's more than okay. In fact, it's beautiful. It's beautiful if you're not constantly telling yourself that it needs to be different. So this what sometimes is a cacophony becomes a symphony. Everything is in its place. Everything is moved about according to conditionality, just as it is. It doesn't need to be any different. So this perspective we tend to occupy, of being attached to this body and this mind, that's one perspective. But when those feelings drop away or they're seen through, we can shift into another perspective. When the sense of self detaches from this body and mind, there's an expansion, and everything can be felt as yourself. There can be nothing that's left out of that. And when you step into that larger perspective, the problems of this body and this mind are seen differently. They don't detract from the inherent beauty of the world. When you're inhabiting this larger perspective, beauty is found in just the motion of the world, just the movement of this one body, this one thing. You might have had the experience of being out in nature and looking up at the trees and just being entranced by the movement of the leaves and the wind. Or you might have been sitting by a lake and likewise entranced by the ripples in the water or the flickering of the flame. I think many people have had that experience, but when you inhabit this larger perspective, that same beauty and the motion of the world can be seen. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what particular thing is being seen. It can be mundane objects. It can be the movement of people or larger organizations. Or just the movement of just life, any of it. And something else that's very helpful from this perspective, this larger perspective. Many folks look out at the world and see suffering and have some form of despair. It's a very easy thing to fall into. But that is one perspective. There is another perspective from which to see the suffering of the world. And from this other perspective, this larger perspective, that suffering is not gone. It's still there. It's not. There's not a denial of the suffering. But what's also seen alongside it is the beauty of the world, the beauty of this thing in motion. And what that does is it makes that suffering palatable. It makes it okay to that's okay to be there because there's some beauty in experience too. The way I like to think about it is, the suffering of the world is very bitter. It's very harsh sometimes. And so if that's all you have, it's not hard. It's not easy to eat. But if you leaven that bitterness with some sweetness, some beauty in the world too, it becomes bittersweet. Then you have a nice dessert. And we see this relationship between beauty and the sense of self play out in practice too. Sometimes you can see it in an individual sit. You sit down, and when you sit down, the mind is maybe agitated and working on whatever it's working on. You sit, and perhaps the mind becomes quiet and still. And you get up from your sit, and the world is a little bit different. You notice colors more. You notice textures or sensations. This is a little bit of the beauty peeking through. You can see it a little stronger for those of you guys who've been on retreat. That difference can be felt more strongly, perhaps. The analogy I used earlier about the difference between the cacophony and the symphony. This was an experience I had coming out of retreat some number of years ago. I just finished a retreat, and I'd driven home, and I was out of food, and I went to Whole Foods to get something to eat. And um, when you come home after retreat, the world is often very harsh. Like you've been sitting in silence for many hours a day for perhaps a long period of time, and all of a sudden the world is like very in your face. And so I went into Whole Foods, and I felt assaulted by these bright lights and all the sounds of all the like beeping and the people moving and doing things, and all the products on the shelves trying to grab my attention, and just like all the things. And it was this like very uncomfortable experience. And I made it through, and I survived, and I got all my food, and I was heading out the door, and something just switched. That layer of I don't like all this stuff. It's unpleasant. Just fell away, and the experience became this, as I was saying, it's just a symphony of there's a beep and a car horn and a sight, and just this everything was flowing without any resistance. And it was the same thing. It was the exact same. It was the same experience from a minute ago. It's just how it was perceived. That shift of perspective, that seeing the beauty in things, makes all the difference in the world. And so as we step more and more away from this small perspective, this idea that we're this separate self trapped in this body and this mind, we start to see beauty more and more, but we also start to spread this to others. We do this in smaller ways and larger ways. I'm thinking of the time I met a good friend of mine. The first time I met him, I was headed into a Sangha, actually. And the path to the Sangha passed by a magnolia tree, which I passed by any number of times. But this time I saw this person staring at the magnolia tree, like really looking at the flowers. And I stopped too. I stopped and looked at the flowers too. And eventually we started a conversation about how lovely it was. And we eventually became friends. But he shared his view with me, and just by living that in his life, it wasn't available to me before, and it was in that moment. So we do that in very small ways. We can also do it in larger ways too. I have another friend who teaches Dharma at a local jail. The class she teaches is mostly like early 20s men. And she was telling me about an incident a few weeks ago where one of the men did something that was just very beyond the pale, just not appropriate at all. And she had gone to some friends and asked for some advice about what to do. Should we like go to the authorities or report him or whatever? And the way I understood those conversations was that the people she talked to were seeing him as a problem to be solved, and just kind of in terms of this thing he did. But the way she described the incident to me, like she saw him as a person. She saw the suffering behind, or the suffering in him and behind the thing he did. And it struck me that it was such a great gift to that person. I don't know this man at all, but I would imagine being in jail, it's not so easy to find the beauty in yourself. And imagine what he did, it's much harder. But she saw the beauty in him. He was a living being suffering in that moment. And that's a great gift to give to somebody who can't see that beauty in themselves. And that's something we can do. We can spread this beauty to others who may not see it so easily. And so we'll bring this talk to a close. A little bit of pragmatism. So there's some ways that you can use this understanding of the world. it's skillful to fill up your life with beauty in the mundane sense. This is a good thing. It's lovely, but it's also not the ultimate goal. So it's not something to get um, trapped in. Um, finding the most sublime experience or the best internal state. Um, that's not the goal of practice. Another thing to remember is that these moments of beauty they're not graspable. They're very pleasant and very lovely, and the mind is going to want to try and hold on to them. But it's that very holding on that I need the world to be this way that will obscure the beauty that you're seeing. So the thing to do is not grasp at them; it's just to appreciate. You were given this gift for this moment, or this however long you were given it. It's just a thing to be grateful for. And later, when you've moved on and that's not kind of present in your experience anymore, and you're seeing suffering in the world, remember what the world is like. Remember what you saw, and know that it wasn't that specific instant, that specific configuration of the world that was beautiful. The whole world is like that. And so when you're suffering, perhaps you can look and see if you can find that and ease your suffering. And lastly, I want to offer that this knowledge is something that can be used as a motivation to practice. It's a really skillful thing to do. It's very good to have reasons like this that make you want to practice. If you have experience of beauty in your life and you like that and you want more of that, the thing to do is practice. Practice is a tool that helps us let go of the sense of self. We'll close by reading the poem one last time. Peace is every step, the shining red sun in my heart. Each flower smiles with me. How green, how fresh, all that grows. How cool the wind blows. Peace is every step. It turns the endless path to joy. Thank you all.